Alright, so I'm going to go over your CBQ 4.2 review. There's an assignment for you to submit your answers at the end in the same folder. And it's you're just going to fill in the blank with your answer choices. So you're going to either put A, B, C, or D. Alright, so number 1, the diagram shows the floor plan of a storage facility. All dimensions are given in feet. Which expression represents the area of the storage facility in square feet? So how do I find the area of a rectangle? Length times width. Adding up all the sides is the perimeter. Okay? So we want the length times the width. This is the length, this is the width. That's volume. So the area would be 4x plus 3 quantity times 2x plus 2. Right? So how do I do this? What do I have to do? The box, good. So just like yesterday on the warm-up, right? On the box, you're going to put 4x plus 3 and then 2x plus 2. Then you're going to multiply everything. So this comes from here and here. This box comes from here and here. This one comes from here and here. And this one comes from here and here. That's how you will be multiplying. Okay, and once you multiply, then you're going to add up all the little squares, and then you're going to combine your like terms, right? So go ahead and do that. How would we do this on Desmos? You would put this into box 1 and then check all your answer choices to see which one matches, right? Okay, so those are your two options. Either doing it by hand like this or putting this in Desmos and then answer choices one at a time to see which one matches. So go ahead and work on that. Okay, number 2. So number 2, we're still multiplying, right? Alright, and now we have how many terms here? 3. So we need the rectangle, right? The 3 by 2. And so up here would be the 2x squared plus 4x minus 3. And then this one would be negative 5x minus 2. And it's the same thing. This box you get from here. This one you get from these. And that one you get multiplying those two. It tells you right here. So 3 and 2. So that means one side has to be 3 and the other side has to be 2. The first one was 2 by 2. So that's why we have 2 and then 2. Does that make sense? So the terms tell you how many. That's how you multiply, and the same thing. You add up all your everything that's inside the squares, and you combine your like terms. And remember, I taught you all the quickest way to do it is to add diagonally, right? This one stays the same, this one stays the same, and you just add these two together. You combine these two. Alright? Or if you're doing it on Desmos, you would put this in one box, and then you would check your answer choices one at a time to see which one would match. Okay? So go ahead and do that one real quick. Okay, so number 3, which expression is equivalent to, and they give you this expression. So we want to get rid of the parentheses, right? There's no parentheses in our answer choices, so we have to do what? How do we get rid of parentheses? You distribute, good. So if I have 5q squared, that's 5q squared minus, so 1/3 times 6 would be what? What's 1/3 times 6? Multiply across, right? So it'd be 6 over 3, which is 2q, and then minus 1/3 times 4 plus 2q squared, right? And so then you want to combine your like terms. Because if you notice your answer choices, one of the numbers are going to be left with as a fraction, because I can't simplify 4 divided by 3. So you can do it that way by hand, or you put this into Desmos, right? Put this. What do I have to do when I put it in Desmos? I have to do something with the equation. I put x. It's x instead of q, right? And then you have to check your answer choices one at a time to see which one matches, right? So you have to replace q with x. So if you look at number 4, it's the same way, right? You have to distribute, and then you're going to combine your like terms. Remember, m times m is what? M squared. And so like I'll do the first part. So 3m times 2/3 m, right? If I put it all together, this would be 3m times 2m all divided by 3. And so isn't there something that I can do real quick? Cancel out the 3's, good. And so the m times m becomes
M squared.
2m squared, right? So that would be your first term, and then you would have to go on and so forth with the other distributions, right? Or if you're doing this on Desmos, you would put this in box 1, replacing what? Replacing m with x, right? And then check your answers one at a time to see which one matches. So go ahead and work on that real quick. Okay, so number 5, we're doing the same thing, right? 4c times 1/4 over d, and so on. We're distributing to get rid of the parentheses. Okay? Now, the only thing is, here I have 4c 1/4 d. So that's 4 times c times d, all divided by 4, right? So we cancel out the 4's, and I'm left with c. And you would do that for all the other multiplications here, here, here. But I also see the word equivalent, right? So that means equivalent. I can put all of this into Desmos and then check which answer choice matches. Now I have C and D. So what do I have to replace it with? X and Y. Good. So you're doing X and Y on Desmos. X and Y. Okay. So do that real quick. Alright, number 6. For what value of c will the graphs of y equals 4x squared minus 24x plus c and y equals 4 times the quantity x minus 3 squared minus 6 be the same? So same means what? Equivalent as well, right? But they're not giving you the equations down here. They're just giving you the value of c. No. Well, okay. So here we already have x and y, right? So we're going to put this equation in box 1 into Desmos. This one we're also going to put it into Desmos. But instead of c, what we're going to put is one at a time. We're going to change that value of c to these numbers right here. All of these. Does that make sense? So I need to check, okay, I'm going to graph this one, the first one, or the one that doesn't have c, this one right here. I would graph that, and then, here, let me show you. So, what is the equation?
Y equals 4x squared minus 24x plus c.
4x squared minus 24x plus c.
Yeah. And the other one is y equals 4 versus x minus 3 versus c to the power of the square root of minus 6. Yeah, it's
4x what? Minus what? 3?
Minus 3 versus c.
Okay. So now, what they're asking us is what value of c would make this these two match. So when I go into Desmos, I'm going to replace C with these answer choices. So instead of C, I'm going to put 42. And they're two different ones, right? Well, I'm not going to do them. I'm just showing you what you have to do. Okay? So this is how you would do it, right? Does that make sense? Or if you're doing it by hand. If you're doing it by hand, what you have to do is you have to multiply x minus 3. So remember we talked about how x minus 3 quantity squared really means 4 times x minus 3 times x minus 3 minus 6. Right? We talked about that. And then you would do the box here. X minus 3 and x minus 3. X squared. Negative 3x. Negative 3x. Positive 9. So then this becomes 4 times, because we're just evaluating this part right here. Right? That's the only thing I'm doing in the box. The x minus 3 times x minus 3. X squared minus 6x plus 9 minus 6. So then you would have to distribute the 4 and then subtract the 6. And then it'll give you the C. Because if I do 4 times x squared, that's the 4x squared right here. And then 4 times negative 6 is what? Negative 24, right? So basically you can find C by doing 4 times 9 minus 6.